be your most authentic self. And that's how
Mm.
I end my podcast every time too. You have to be you. It's not who your parents wanted you to be, who the church says you should be, who your teachers think you should be. When you are living authentically according to who you are, you can't go wrong. You're going to follow your passion. You're going to be in flow. You're going to feel great.
Yep.
Just be you and own it. Whether you're brash or you're quiet or you're more aloof, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Just be your
Yeah,
most authentic self and
man.
love that person.
That right now, because I feel like that's going to be, more harmful than good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I agree.
but it's like, I don't know. I have that mental battle with myself. Like, am I just giving myself an excuse? You know what I mean? Because I think it's not easy getting in that thing. But if you're healthy and you're doing the cold plunge, I think they say 11 minutes total per week is kind of what you need. So if you break it up into like 3-4 minute, or 3 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. And again, everybody is different. There's
Yeah.
some, and I actually did a podcast on this too, on biohacks that aren't right for everybody, or
Right.
it's the timing. And that's a lot of what I do is timing. It's
Yeah.
crucial, doing the things you're designed to do when you're designed to do them. So some people, it's better early in the morning. Others are going to be wrecked early in the morning with it. And they would tend to be better like after exercise when the body is already warm.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say all
I'd
the
warm
time,
up
man.
the body right now.
Well, cold plunging changed my life. Like, it really did.
Yeah.
It was like, because I started cold plunging late 2022, maybe early 2023. And I used to have it to where you would have to put the ice in the thing, which is very tedious and time consuming or whatever. But now I bought one of those. It's not
little
the
pool
expensive ones.
things.
It's one of the cheaper versions of that, but it has a chiller that kind of chills itself, which is very convenient.
Sure.
It filters the water. It's got a chemical and everything. But dude, I don't know. It's like, I usually do it about 30 minutes after I wake up, and I'm not a morning person. So I think the physical benefits. So it's like, and a lot of people don't understand this, but it's the circadian biology behind it. So
that's what I do.
When you do it, yes, it cools you down, but it forces your body to heat up, which is essentially what waking up is. Yep. And then, that's why you do a sauna at night or whatever. But I don't have access to a sauna. I wish I did, but that thing changed my life.
A portable one. You can even get
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen those, like a couple $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like, I have limited space, and the more I add like all these biohacking things, because then I wanted to get like one of those red light panels, but those things are like $2,000 for one panel, like $1,500 for one panel. You know what I mean? And
you can get there's a smaller one. I can send you the info on it. I have it. I actually got it as a gift, Christmas gift, from a doc with a big podcast that I used to contract with. And she sent it to all of us for Christmas. And it's only about yay big.
Okay.
And then it folds right down. It's got a little stand, and then it just folds right down. And I've had really good luck with it. There's the orange light, and then there's the red light. And
I know you have to be, it has to be a specific thing. Like the gym I go to, they have a red light bed, but it's like it's like a tanning bed, but it's like red light. It's not the same. I don't think it's the same thing.
No, they're totally different. They look the same, but they're different. And then I have one that's a canopy for over my head. And when I love to meditate with that. Especially if I wake up pretty early, and I'm just not ready to get up yet, so I'm going to do my meditation, because I'll meditate anywhere from 30 minutes to 90 minutes in the morning. Wow. And sometimes that red light, because it stimulates the melatonin, I wake up like sometimes 2 hours later and go, man, I was out. I put that on in the middle of the night, and it puts me back out. I love the red light. I've used it to clear up a sty. I swear by red light therapy.
I put just a simple, this isn't like what works the infrared light, but this is like a simple light bulb in my bathroom.
Yeah, I've got one in my bedroom.
And at night I'll use it to, when I shower or whatever, it'll be like the hot water plus the red light, and man, that thing is like, I swear by it, dude, because it looks weird outside of my house. Like, it's like my window is like, I walked outside one night and my window is like literally red. My neighbors probably think something's crazy, like, but it's just like,
I don't know what he's doing in there.
But dude, it works, man. It
It
works.
does. It does. And that was the one I got because I just replaced my old bulb that I've had for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And when I was looking on Amazon, I mean, it was like this one, the numbers that I've never seen before. Like this one is for sleep. So as soon as I go in my bedroom to do my routine at night, that light goes on. And then I have the blue light blockers. Like I have my ones that are my reader, that are clear, but they say like the red are the best.
Yep.
And then the amber is okay because I got red ones at the health optimization conference last year. And I thought, oh, this would be cool. And I put them on, and it was the weirdest thing. It threw
Yep.
off all my perception and everything looks funky. But I put those on. Now I can sit and do crossword puzzles with these because these are on all day. And and then I have to use that for crossword puzzles. But if it's a night where I'm not going to do a puzzle and I just want to veg for a bit because I've just been like my brain's been going all day, I'll put those red ones on and I sit down and I can't keep my eyes open.
Mm.
I'm telling you, there's
Yeah.
something about this red that, like you said, you're just like, it's
Yeah.
just, it's that melatonin, I think, just boom.
You
And
know
I just want to sleep.
what? This will really put you out. So if you, I don't know if you're a reader or not, but there's an app that you can download on your phone, which essentially uses your phone, not the flashlight, but it uses the phone screen as a light, and you can change the color of the screen. So you
Oh,
can make your entire phone screen like a red color. And so what I've done
really?
before is turn the lights off in the bedroom, use that app, and then shine it towards a book, and so the red light will be reflecting
Yeah.
off of the book, and then you're reading the book. Man, that'll put you out like a baby.
Oh, I
This
love it because I
let me see.
journal.
It
And that
is
would be perfect.
what is this thing? This thing is what is this app called? Just so everybody knows. It's literally called Reading Lamp. That's the app.
Reading
And
lamp.
it's
Okay.
Reading Lamp.
I'm
And
so gonna
it's
download this
yeah,
because
and
I
I
do
mean
my
you can
journaling
yeah,
and
so
I
like I
I
said,
use my Garmin flashlight. And then
well
but that's more of
it
that white
doesn't
light,
it doesn't
right?
use the flashlight on your phone. It just uses the backlight from your screen. So like you can
Yeah,
make
that's
it literally
perfect.
whatever color. But
Yeah.
it's got a nice red tint to it. Like I said, you shine it on the book, and it's like the page
Oh, it'd be awesome.
looks red, and it gives you that red
Yep.
light effect. It's crazy.
I
Um,
love it. I love it.
but
'Cause my red light is this new one is so dim. My other one, I still had enough light where I could journal and see.
mm,
I can't. So I have to like, I flip on the little flashlight here and I hold it like this while I journal. And
yeah,
I still will get tired because that red light's on. But if I could flash a red screen at that, oh, now I'm all excited.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
just
For for
even better
sure,
for
yeah,
sleep. Yeah. I mean, and
yeah, man.
sleep,
It was
sleep is so crucial. And people,
well,
I
it
don't need sleep. I don't need much sleep. I mean, if you're getting chronically under 6 hours of sleep a night, that's the expectancy of someone with cardiovascular disease or a
for sure,
smoker.
yeah.
I mean, that's where we get all our recovery.
Yeah, I think the statistic
Huge.
is I think if a man sleeps like 5 hours or less a night, I think his testosterone drops to what it would be if he
Testosterone
was
drops.
10 years
Yep.
older.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
But
it
see,
is.
my situation, like, so what happened was I went out of town this past weekend, and if I drink alcohol, it's like maybe
Oh,
3 times a year. It's hardly ever
yeah.
do I drink alcohol. I was out with some people this past weekend. I drank a little bit. I had a couple nights there where I didn't sleep well because I was
Yeah,
out of
it gets
town.
your sleep cycle.
And so now I've been having this cold thing for the last couple days. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna try the zinc vitamins, and I already take this stuff, but I'm gonna try to up it a little bit. Zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D.
See?
It's cloudy here today. I'm kind of disappointed about that because I was gonna get some sunlight, but uh,
Yep.
yeah, I'll
Try
hold
the
off on the
olive
cold plunge
leaf.
a couple days.
I swear by olive leaf. It's
Mm,
wonderful. I'll just do like one with every meal while it's going on. And then the NAC, the N-acetylcysteine. Again, it's such a super cheap supplement. The government tried to make it prescription only. It really took off during COVID because it's great for lungs too. It's your precursor to glutathione, your master antioxidant.
mm.
And it got shot down. The government got shot down. Thank God. It's
Well, of
like
course it did.
something works. They want you like, and it's under, in my dispensary, it's under $15 a bottle, and
Right.
it's so well absorbed. Glutathione, on the other hand, harder to absorb unless it's in specific forms. And I mean, you're looking at like $60, $70 a month.
Yep.
where the NAC for, $15 for a couple months supply, and that drove my glutathione levels up to like optimal from almost non-existent. I swear by it. And it comes up all over my
So,
DNA panels.
all right. So before we get too far into this, I want to ask you to introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of keep going because I'll keep going and I'll forget about that part. But
Yes, I
while you're doing that, you mentioned something that I want to touch on. While you're doing that, I'm gonna do something in the background. But if you could just kind of tell us who you are, what you do, and
Yeah.
we'll dive in. I'm gonna do something real quick, but I'll be here.
How brief do you want me to be?
You can go whatever you want to share about yourself, your career.
Sure.
It's going to take me like 30 seconds to look this thing up, but I want to look up something to
Okay.
show you really quick
Okay.
while you're doing
All right.
this.
So, yeah. So I'm Susan Robbins. I'm a certified epigenetic human performance coach. I am actually a retired police officer. My own health struggles over the years, mostly from just living opposite of now I find out how I was designed to live, how I was created genetically, and it just created a lot of issues with my body. And so what I do is help people optimize their health and their overall quality of life according to how they're created. So I do DNA testing, which is your basic cheek swab. Um, a lot of people, everybody knows about 23andMe and Ancestry. Well, it's the same as far as doing the cheek swab. However, not all DNA tests are created equally. And so you have the 23andMe and Ancestry, they are ancestral based. That's predominantly what they're doing. What I do is all lifestyle based, things that we can work with because DNA is pure probabilities and propensities. So we actually have control up to about 95% of how our DNA expresses, and that is epigenetics, how your lifestyle and environment affect how your genes express. And so I do DNA testing, and then I have an AI-based program, epigenetic program, that looks at how you're formed in the womb and the predominant hormones that drive you. And this one's like your user manual for your body. Now, identical twins will generally have pretty close to identical DNA. With my PH360 profile, no two people in the world will have an identical profile because it's all about how are your genes currently expressing? What's going on with your body? There's 15 layers of science into this AI-based algorithm. And as we go through the onboarding process, if there's no blood, there's no saliva, cheek swab, any of that, we do measurements. We measure things like your skull, your jaw, your hands, your feet, your neck, rib cage. We're looking for the predominant germ layer that developed in the womb. That tells us the predominant hormones that drive you, and that affects everything. So during the onboarding process, the algorithm is saying this is where this body needs support at this time to bring it to optimal. There's a questionnaire. It takes into account everything from your hair color, eye color, a little bit of family history to, what digestive issues are you having? Brain things. Are you having sleep disturbances due to an overactive mind? What are you looking for as far as body composition? Do you want to gain weight, lose weight, gain muscle? How often are you exercising? It takes everything into account. And by the end of that session, we have your unique profile. So there's your user manual. So I'm very unique in this country. I combine the two so that we have the blueprint. This is how you're created. Here's how we work with it with your user manual. And the user manual, the PH360, is so precise. It will tell you the exact foods you should be eating at this time that are not carb, protein, the macro business. It's all based on nutrient density to feed your body what it needs to become more optimal and not exacerbate the conditions that you have going on that are likely driven by lifestyle. When you should be eating, the times of training. So we put all of that together and then look at the DNA. And when you have someone trained on both, and then that coach actually knows the person, I can come in and do my little tweaking by knowing what they need, recommend supplements that they actually need, the right ones for them, and not contribute to the supplement graveyard that everybody has of, well, I heard this was good, so let me try this. So I'm just all about personalized health. They say it's the future, but It's here and I have it, and that's what I do. It's looking at the person as being unique and what do you need to be optimal and be yourself. Like learn how are you designed as far as even you see all the personality tests, but a lot of times it's biologically driven. So it's, just learning to be authentically you, own it, and live the way you were designed to live. And that's how we become optimal. That's me
All
in a
right.
nutshell.
Okay. I want to backtrack for a minute. What we were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. You mentioned the government wanted to make this a prescription only. This episode is brought to you by Excel Coaching Academy. Hey guys, I'm really excited to let you know that I started a mindset coaching business. So what I want to do with this business is I want to help entrepreneurs, business owners, salespeople, leaders, and fitness enthusiasts or athletes develop the right mindset to increase revenue, improve business or performance, and overcome the challenges needed to become the best version of themselves. You can get more information about this by emailing info@excelcoaching.academy. I don't know if you know this or not, and I'll share a screen with you really quick.
Okay.
This is from the Daily Wire, and I understand that's a conservative-based thing, but the American Heart Association, I think this was a couple weeks ago, stopped a bill in Dallas, Texas, that would be not eliminate, not outlaw or whatever, but it would make it where you can't use food stamps to buy junk food, basically.
Junk food. Yep.
And the American Heart Association tried to stop this bill. And it's like, why would they stop this? Well, they simply
It's
stop it
all about
because
the
they get
money.
money from the people who make these junk food
Yep.
products.
Yep.
And so what
It's all
this
about the
article
money.
is,
Follow the money.
yeah, so this actually came out, this article is March 2025. It says American Heart Association retracts opposition to barring soda candy from food stamps.
So they
Um,
went back on it.
Yeah, they had to, because they like so many people were asking questions like, why are
Yeah.
you, the American Heart Association, saying that like this, you're trying to stop this bill which
Yeah.
would help your
Help people.
organization, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
your people and your
Yeah.
organization.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
said a lobbyist for the American Heart Association turned heads last week when he asked Texas Republicans not to exclude soda, ultra processed desserts, and candy from the list of items that can be bought with food stamps, despite the fact that the medical group has for years warned that such foods cause heart disease.
And aren't those people the underprivileged or your lower income people? They're the ones that typically don't want to go to the doctor because they can't afford it,
That's exactly right.
right? So you're
Let
just
me
keeping them
see.
sick.
Yeah, so
That's what it's sick care. It's all about sick care in this country, and not you have to be your own best medical advocate. You have to be, and you have to take control of your lifestyle because the government's not going to do it for you.
how does income relate to obesity rates?
Um, well,
So I use a
okay,
hang on. I'm using a
yeah,
Perplexity, which is an AI. I just want to see if there's a correlation between it, because I feel like the ultra processed foods are probably the cheapest.
they're
You know what I
cheap.
mean?
That's exactly what I
Like
was going to say. They're cheap. Like
yeah, like you
I shop at Sprouts, Whole Foods, because that's where you're going to get, that's where I'm going to get the things. It's easier to find the things that I'm going to eat. The better quality, the grass-fed beef, things like that, right? If you have to buy in the grocery store. I like to order that stuff from a farm. But anyhow, um,
yeah.
when
I was looking for a statistic, but I can't find it on Perplexity. But yeah, I know that this like because the food quality matters, and so the cheaper the food is, probably the worse it is for you. You know,
unless you're at like the farmer's market, right? Like, so we have to like
well,
make sure we know this, right?
Well,
Usually
when I
that's
say cheap, I'm talking about the stuff like, you
grocery
go to the
store.
frozen section and there's
The
like an
junk.
entire meal for like $2 or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All the packaged foods at convenience stores. Like you don't
Yeah.
see anything fresh there. Every once in a while, might see a banana and an apple up at the cashier, and they're
Right.
usually
Yeah.
not looking too good because no one grabs them. I mean,
Yep.
it's really sad. And they don't call Whole Foods Whole Paycheck for nothing, right? You go there, you're like, how the hell am I at $160? I live by myself. This is where I spend all my money is on food to eat well, and it's sad. But I have an interesting point of view here. So when I was a cop, I was assigned to work with public housing for 10.5 years.
Hmm.
And I had 2 family housing projects that I was responsible for. And you saw there was a lot of obesity, a lot of unhealthy stuff there. I mean, people were sick all the time. And when you like you could see the trash. I mean, it was still, and I'm not, I don't mean the people, I mean the trash, like literal trash. It's all, you go in a house and it was all like those like fake juice boxes and Cheetos and just crap,
Yep.
because that's cheap to get. It's cheap. And for them to be taking their food stamps and going, and what are you going to buy? A $16 grass-fed steak if you've got $50 to spend and you have, a couple of kids to feed and yourself? Chances are not. But you can go there and you can buy a bunch of um, uh, things in a can, or chicken nuggets. Like, and that's what you'd see a lot of the bags of
Right.
Tyson frozen chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
But
yeah,
like, why would the American Heart Association, which we want to think is there for us, it's a government agency that's there for us and has our best interests at heart, why would they stop this bill that literally supports their message? Like, I don't get that. I do get it. I do get it, because you follow the money, and there's the answer right
there
there.
you go. Medications. I mean, but it's back big pharma. You're giving people, let's give them drugs to take care of this. Let's give them statins to take care of the cholesterol. When it's so typically, again, there's some genetically that have, but predispositions, but we can still work with that diet wise. How about exercise? That's a major component that you don't hear hear pushed as much. A major component is just get moving, but we have such a sedentary society with all the tech. The kids that used to see out running when I first started public housing, that was like 2005, I think it was. And kids were outside on their bikes, and then it's like towards the end, they're inside playing their video games because that
Right.
became so prominent.
Yep.
You know, And what does that breed? That breeds obesity. And then you have genetics. There's a FTO gene. If you have the 2 variants there, if you're an AA with that FTO, it's a major high impact obesity gene. Starting from the age of 7, you're at a high risk for obesity. And you know what drives the expression of that gene down by 80%? Exercise. Lifestyle is the key. It's not throw everybody on the meds, but the heart association, like, they're not, those, all the docs, they're not going to make the money if they're not getting the kickbacks from big pharma,
Yeah, yeah, and
you
that's
know?
actually a good point, because I say a lot. I say all the time that being a '90s, so I was born early '90s, being
You're
a
a
'90s
baby.
baby, like, yeah, well, I don't know about that. I'll be 32 next weekend. But like, I'm so glad that we grew up outside, man. Like, playing outside, like you said, on the bikes, like in the woods, whatever.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, I think I think the transition sort of happened when I was like in my teenage years, late teenage, is when the video games. I mean, we always played video games, but they
yeah,
became like, the online gaming became very popular when I was a late teen, 16,
yeah,
17, somewhere in there.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, because now, I guess I don't have children, but now a childhood is like on the tablets and all this stuff.
From the time they're tots,
Right.
little
Yeah.
little tiny tots, they're more efficient on technology than I am. Now I'm okay. This will floor you. So I'm born in 1965. Okay, I'm
Mm.
hitting 60 in October this year. And I grew up on the Jersey Shore on a little island, 18 miles long. You had one bridge. There's still the only way on and off the island is the Causeway Bridge. So we had the bay on one side and the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. And we were, whether it was summer, winter, it didn't matter. We're on the bikes. There was an empty lot across the street before they built a home there. We were playing wiffle ball, softball. We went to the beach like a work day. I'd get up 8 o'clock in the morning, hit the beach, come home at 5 for dinner. All right.
Yeah.
Or you go down to the bay and play on the bay. And that was how we grew up. And like you said, I'm so very grateful for that. You went home when the lights went down. And then a lot of times in the summer, we go back to the beach and go swim at night
Right.
until Jaws came out. I wasn't going to do that. was like 12.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not getting the water at night, not going to happen anymore. But yeah, the video games started, it had to be, I think it was like around 1980, and we got HBO. When HBO was brand new. My dad was always like, shiny new thing, let's get it.
Yeah.
And then Pong, okay, Atari. You
Right.
would
Yeah.
sit there and like the first video game, boop, boop, but you'd be mesmerized for hours. Like
Right.
that was our excitement from being
But
outside.
like,
So
I,
it's crazy how we've evolved to
but
what it
like
is now.
even those video games, where you would, I don't know if you played this in like a public setting, an arcade, or I don't know if there were versions you had where you could have on your TV or whatever it was.
Yeah, it
But I
was
feel
ours was
like,
on TV, but you could play in arcades too. Yeah.
an arcade is like a different. And look, I don't have anything against video games. Video games can teach you like they can teach you resilience, because it's like, you can try the thing 100 times and then you succeed at it, and it teaches you, I think it teaches you like how to maybe accept failure as part of the process and how to do things in a different way. It can also
Work the
help
brain.
with teamwork. Well, and that too. So there's a study, and I don't know where this is from, but surgeons who play video games, I think it's like a 25% less likely to make errors in surgeries. Because there's a hand-eye coordination, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Elon Musk, who is like one of the most productive people on the planet,
Yep.
he's like
Yes.
also a very big gamer. So there's not like, but I think there's a balance of it, and I'm not even talking
Agree.
about the time or the productivity. I'm talking about the health, because,
Mhm.
and you can say the same thing about, if a person has like an online business and they're just sort of in their house all day. This is just about health, just about immunity. You're not out in the
Right.
world like being exposed to things. Like when you're in an arcade,
Oh,
there's
you're picking
people,
up everything. Or
there's everything
a gym
around.
is the biggest bacterial cesspool.
Yeah, yeah. And this is why I was so against like the lockdowns during COVID,
Yeah, me too.
because you can't make me believe that did not hurt our immunity to be locked in a place and not be exposed to all these
Yeah.
things.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Right now, I'm trying to fight this cold thing. I was in a martial arts gym last night. There was sweat all over the place. Like I was sweating. You know what I mean? Like that's got to be healthy. I feel like that's healthy for us to be
Yeah.
in that environment.
Yeah, I agree. Our bodies are meant to fight things. I mean, this is the beauty of our systems, right? A lot of times, when you get super stressed out, you're not sleeping. That's when you'll get sick. The body will just shut down, going, if you're not going to shut down, I'm going to shut you down for a while. Or you might have picked up a bug, whatever it is. I mean, we just listen to it. But I'm right with you with the COVID. I was like, I'm not wearing a mask. That's bull. And I'm not going to isolate,
Yep.
because when you're the big things that came to me was when you close the gyms,
Yep.
and you, like, on the children's playground, when you had it look like crime scene tape around it.
Yep.
Like, I actually saw this by one of the lakes here. I'm in Colorado. This is our outdoor playground. This is why I live here. And they're like, you can't travel in your cars more than, I was dating somebody at the time, and we quarantined together. Quarantined. We would be waiting in line at Home Depot without masks, and people thought we were like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
yeah, we're not scared." And we would go up into the mountains. There's the only good part. There was, I live north of Denver. You go head towards Denver, towards the mountains. The traffic is outrageous. There was nobody on the road. It's like, this is kind of cool. We had, like, you have a mountain to yourself. You don't have all the tourists up there. That was the beauty of it. But the reality of when you're trying to shut that stuff down, keep people out of the places that help them thrive and help the body fight things, the sunshine outside, but yet you keep open the liquor stores and the weed stores and McDonald's, the fast food, and deem them as essential.
Yep.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say
Yeah.
something's not right here. E- and
Well.
keeping people from loved ones, that's like just having that social shutdown
Mhm.
from support systems, that will wreck somebody. I mean, it was just like the writing was on the wall, so I didn't listen to any of it. Never got
Well,
COVID, never got
I just feel like that we
kept
should have the
living.
choice. We should have the choice to choose.
Choice.
Like
Absolutely.
you shouldn't
Absolutely.
you shouldn't
Yeah.
force people to do this based on something that has a pretty high survival rate. Like this is like,
It was like
you know,
99, 98%. Yeah.
yeah.
And And also, if you look at the people, now there's a lot of stuff out there about people dying of COVID and people died with COVID. People with cancer that were already having issues or heart disease or diabetes that took a downward turn and then they developed COVID. What did they actually die of, right? But look at the majority of the people. What drove it? Pre-existing health conditions like obesity and
Yep.
diabetes, the same things that you're feeding literally with keeping the fast food, the booze, like all these things open and closing the things that help too. And even when you went to the store, I remember this so vividly. If we were talking about food, um, the shelves were like bare in the middle of the store with all the junk, but the produce and the meats were still nobody was eating them.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody's more concerned with getting toilet paper than they were with getting their fruits and vegetables, which are full of antioxidants, which help to fight. It's like, oh my gosh, but it is. It's all about choice, and that's the beauty of this country is you should have the choice to live your life how you choose to live it. If you want to wear a mask, I still see people driving in their cars alone with their masks on. That's their choice. That's fine. But I want to have the choice to live my life. I build my career and my life around taking control of your health. You being responsible for yourself, not everybody around you, and how to be your most optimal.
Yep.
Like I'm not scared of a virus. I'm not scared of a disease. I feel like if you build yourself up enough, it won't be as bad.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm off there because again, we're all different. I know people that are pretty healthy that got it and got hit hard, but they're here.
Well, I
So
think you have to know your body and you have to know what is
absolutely.
right for you. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
the fact that we had a solution that every single person was supposed to do the exact same thing, that does not work for
That'd be
everybody.
fair. No,
Like,
no. That's exactly what I do for a living. There's no one size fits all approach for anyone. I mean, if you're sick, if you get sick, if you get the flu, nothing should change. The from how it's always been. If you have the flu, don't go to work. Stay home, rest. If you're sick, like rest, sleep it off. That's what the body needs. It needs the rest. Like you don't go pollute everybody. Like, if it's a cold, I'm not worried about it. But if you have something like the flu or something like that, you take care of yourself. And like we
right.
never went right to run and test. So what do I have? You just know you were sick and do the right things for it. Um, I don't know. That was just such a crazy. I can't believe it was 5 years ago. And now I have on
It is
Facebook
hard to
all
believe. That is hard to
all the
believe.
memes I was posting from back then, and some of them are
Yeah.
hilarious. Like just what was happening then. The Netflix shows that were on were coming up, like that Carol Baskin, the lion, the tiger
Yeah.
guy. All the memes from that. I saw that coming up this week, and it's just like, God, that seems like it was forever ago, and we were all just it was all just such a crazy time that you never thought you'd like live through something like that.
Well,
I don't know.
it's not even the effects on the health, man. It's like you had major they're not government organizations, but they have probably more power or as much power as the government. You had major institutions like Facebook and YouTube and Google censor things
Censoring.
that did not
Yeah.
support the main. And so it's like,
Yep.
okay,
Yep.
are we the people or are we not? Because like these are supposed to be what I understand to be private companies. I mean, they're public, but they're not part of the government. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
why are we censoring this? Like why? Like
Yep.
that to me sounds like a novel that was written about like from
It
George
does.
Orwell or whatever. Like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
That's the
yeah,
thing. It was like you're like, am I really living through this time? We're in the United States and they're censoring information that people need to know, like right down
right.
to the vaccine, the side effects. And I remember saying back then, because I wasn't like, I have Lyme disease. You think I'm putting any of that crap in my body? Not gonna
Mm,
happen.
yeah.
I'm one of the few people that got poisoned from an MRI contrast, the gadolinium, a very toxic heavy metal. It about killed me. Like,
Mm,
like I'll still never get rid of all of it. I mean, like, you think I'm gonna put that stuff in my body when we know about heart? I have I have a good friend of mine, and so I would make this paleo granola that I would sell. And she and I, during COVID, we would trade. She'd go to Costco, she'd get toilet paper, and I'd give her granola. Like we were just hiking last week, and we were talking, laughing about it, just how like insane it all was. Um, I don't know where the hell I was going with that. I just totally got off track. But um, I don't know. It's just the the government censorship. Like again, if you look at what it was, I think they wanted to see. I don't know. I think they want to see how much can we control. And it was. I mean, you can't overlook the fact it was an election that year. Like
Yeah,
there were
for
just so
sure.
many things. I mean, I'm not sure conspiracy theorist, but I look at facts, and when you're taking my friend, that's where I was going. My friend, she's had all kinds of heart issues, and she wasn't happy with me for not getting the vaccine. I was like, don't do it. She works in healthcare. She's an X-ray tech, and I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. And we didn't talk for a long time, and reconnected last year, and she said, you were so smart to not get that. She's had heart issues ever since, and she had been perfectly fine.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like major heart issues. So
Hmm.
it's been now there. I just saw another article that came out where Pfizer was putting out their side effects. The list is like nuts. And we were
Yeah, I
saying
saw that.
several
I
years
saw that.
ago, we just wait because the autoimmune's going to go crazy. And that's what we're seeing. And I can tell you, I was working with this thyroid hormone specialist, and so many patients were coming in saying, I've got, or, this was all through Zoom calls, but they say, I haven't been the same since I got this, since I had COVID or since I got that vax. That was one of the questions we'd ask. You're having all these crazy symptoms, major autoimmune, fatigue, just things that were unexplainable. We say, how many vaccines did you get? Something like 3 and 4. I had another friend that had one. She had been perfectly healthy, CrossFitter, and had a small stroke on a hiking trail after her second one, like right after. Another one had a grand mal seizure. Never, she's 50, never had an issue other than being overweight and some thyroid. Grand mal seizure in the middle of King Supers with her 13-year-old the day after a
Wow.
shot. Like it, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
and this is what I'm saying. Like this information needs to be known because people need to be able to make their
Absolutely.
own decisions on if they want to risk this or not.
Yep.
And I get it.
Yep.
I know some people were at high risk. There was certain
Hmm.
ages, certain conditions. I understand that.
Hmm.
But if these are the side effects that we're having, do you think that if those people who are already at high risk of the virus, if they get the virus, they're at high risk, do you think it's okay to give this thing to that person when all these other people are having side effects of this vaccine? Probably not. I mean, probably
That's
not.
what I said. Like you're higher
If
risk, then let's look at your lifestyle and let's try to mitigate what you deal with. If
and
you
this is
have heart issues, are you diabetic? Let's focus on lifestyle
right.
and bring that down as opposed to let's shoot you up with more crap.
Yeah, and this is a pretty good transition into this actually. Uh I think lifestyle is always probably number one that I would
Number
look at.
one.
Like
Number one.
because especially like in the health and the fitness space, I talk to a lot of people and they're usually young guys in their mid 20s and they want to, get on TRT or testosterone replacement therapy, which is like very young for that. I think there's a very small percentage of people who actually need that. They just want to do it so they can build the muscle or whatever. But
Sure.
first of all, there's a lot of things that come with that. You can't just take TRT or testosterone and think that you're going to be good. Like there's a lot of things that come with that. You have to have estrogen and all that stuff checked. I would not recommend
Yeah.
that for anybody. I actually just talked to a bodybuilder on the podcast, and we were talking about sort of the effects of that and sort of what basically to be aware of what comes with that if you're going to go down that
Hmm.
route.
Hmm.
But if you're in your mid 20s as a man, dude, there's so many lifestyle changes you can make to get whatever results you want to get and not go the pharmaceutical route. Because
You can. One thing I will tell you is for the last several decades, testosterone levels in men have been
yep,
plummeting.
yep,
And whether it's the toxins that we come across, I don't know. There's so many different factors, but here's an interesting, and again, having worked with that thyroid hormone specialist, that we could definitely see you would expect to see the low T levels in older dudes. That's
Yep.
pretty normal because it starts to decrease. But they're seeing such low numbers in young men. But again, you have like genetically, some are more prone to increased conversion to estrogen. So you see that with the gynecomastia, right? Would it back in the gym days, what did they call them, the bitch tits, right? And, but like I see pictures of people on Facebook or articles like young kids and like young males, and they're overweight, they're carrying a lot of body fat, and they've got like actual gynecomastia. You see it, they've got breasts. They're converting so much they might have the low testosterone. I think there's a difference in looking at it from that medical standpoint, because if you have low testosterone, that can affect your heart.
Yep.
Um, you know, it can be a health issue. But if you're looking for I'm not into the people using it for bodybuilding just to put on the muscle. So I think you really have to be really well medically supervised if you're going to get into any of that, because it's like you said, you have to look at the estrogens. It all plays together. Um, but it is scary, the low testosterone levels that are
Yeah.
happening. So what?
And I don't know if that's because, like, if it's, I'm sure part of it is diet. I'm sure part of it is what's in the food, like the
Yeah,
chemicals that are in the
but
food. But
plastics,
yeah,
like that's what I'm saying. Different chemicals that we're exposed to, toxins we're exposed to, they're
yep.
endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors. We didn't have this. We didn't have as much of this. It started more at 70s, 80s, and now you're seeing the repercussions of it, I think. It's pretty frightening. I'll tell you a really scary thing. A company called True Diagnostics, are you familiar with them? They do the epigenetic
I've
age testing.
I've heard of it. Yep.
So for about a year and a half, I did interpretations for them. So
Okay.
people went all over the world. It was really cool. Met some amazing people, a lot of biohackers, right? And so I had people of all different ages. And towards the end, because I stopped doing it like a year ago, November, towards the end, I started seeing more young people getting them done. Usually it was like the older ones, but now I start seeing younger. And we ideally, at that time, the testing they were using, you wanted to be about 1 to 7 years younger is where you want to be. For every year older, there's a percentage of increased risk for chronic disease and death, right? So you wanted to be that younger. The majority of the young people, and I'm talking 20s and early 30s, the pattern I was seeing was aging more rapidly.
Mm.
I mean, I saw guys in their 20s I saw one that was 16 years older,
Wow.
9 years older. And I'm like, what, what is happening? Is it the lifestyle? Is it, part of it being sedentary? And some of these guys were, they thought they were pretty fit. Others had autoimmune conditions. How are you getting these things going on so early? I still think the environment plays a big key. Just the toxins we're so exposed to. And it was just fascinating to me, where I saw people my age were like I'm 4 or 5 years younger. Sweet. Which surprised me, because that MTHFR, that can come into play there. If you have uh, the lower methylation potential there with the MTHFR, especially that 677T, that can affect your epigenetic aging, because it's looking at methylation. And so, yeah, it was super interesting. And I was just like, man, the younger generation, I'm so glad. I'm glad that's not me right now, because they're
Well,
that and stress, they're hitting life.
and I don't know, I don't really know how it is for women, but just like outside of the health space for men, I think a big thing that sort of is like helps men's mental health, that is really beneficial for them, is having a sense of direction and purpose in their life. And I think a lot of young men are sort of missing that these days. And I'm not being disparaging to men. I know when I say this, sometimes it sounds like I beat men up a lot on this podcast, but it's like, I can't, I can't really say anything about the women because I'm not one. I can't really, I mean, maybe I can, but I don't have that experience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the young men go, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's very, like it's critical for their mental health to have some sort of direction in their life. And I think when people don't have that direction, I talk to a lot of people who have overcome like drug addictions and stuff on the podcast. That lack of direction sometimes is what pushes people in that space. You hear about the crime rates, around young men, and there's no sense of
Mm-hmm.
direction or purpose. Because here's the thing: when men have that attachment to this thing that is larger than themselves, I mean, they become like warriors in that space. Like if a person feels like their calling is to have a business, they become like one of the best, that they can be. And it's not going to be a business for everybody. I talk about business a lot on the podcast. It might be a family for these people. It might be a career, whatever it is. But it's like, I think a lot of us are sort of missing that. And that really, it makes you feel, depressed. It makes you feel lost. You try to supplement that with something like cheap dopamine, like sugar and junk food and porn and all this other stuff. And it's just like, dude, it's like that loss of direction. I just feel like if we fix that, and I don't know how to fix it, that's a very big problem to fix. But if we fix that, we won't be sort of alleviating just the symptoms of it. We'll be fixing the actual problem. But anyway, that's a conversation, between the older men who have it figured out and the young men who are sort of in that space. I guess that's
No,
their.
not well. I agree, and I can take this to a biological, to an epigenetic place here. Why exactly what you're talking about? So with that PH360 profile, there's 6 different health types. They're all driven by different hormones. The majority of men are the crusader health type. Do you want to guess what the crusader is driven by?
Purpose.
Dopamine.
Oh well,
Okay.
so
So
chasing
that's
purpose.
why I'm looking at you going, oh, he's a crusader. Just the way you're talking, like if you listen to Dave Goggins speak, I saw him last
Yeah,
year when he was here. He's all about like nothing gets in the way. So like it's like there's a goal and you go for it. If
yep.
you don't have a goal and a purpose, you're out of flow. That's all it is you're out of flow. And then you
Mhm.
create the depression. And for the crusader, it'll create rigidity in thinking. It creates a stress, the kind of analysis paralysis, and they're just like in a funk,
Yeah.
right? But that is dopamine. They need those dopamine hits. So when I work with a crusader, and like I said, the majority are men. Most of my guys that come to me are crusaders. I'll talk about some of the others too, but it'll make sense to exactly what you're talking about. Um, you have to have that goal. You have to set goals with them. I love working with crusaders because I don't even have to say, what do you want to work on? They're like, here's what I want to do. And then before the next session, they'll send me either a spreadsheet, and I'm an activator and I'll explain that. Spreadsheets, I'm like, oh God, no. But the crusaders love spreadsheets because it's organized, because
Yep.
it helps you see heading forward to where you want to be, right?
Mhm.
Data driven. It's all data driven. That's why they make great CEOs, future focused. They can look ahead, see what they want in the future, but then there's other health types to bring in. You'll see how cool this is. Um, but there's an animal associated with each one of these, and the crusader is the racehorse. The blinders go on. It's just there's that goal at the end. Nothing else matters. So if you listen to Dave Goggins talk about him doing this 24-hour or 100-mile race, and his feet were like bloody stumps, he didn't care. Like it's just like there's my goal is to finish, and there is nothing that's going to come in the way, including my bloody stump feet. That's just
Right.
how it is, right? That you can, and you look at him, you can see how his face is shaped. He's long, lean. These are your endurance athletes because they have a very overactive central nervous system. The brain doesn't shut off. Like there's always something like, God, if I could just get out of my head, overthink everything. So you see a lot of triathletes, endurance athletes, cyclists, distance runners, because it's the only time they can shut the brain down for those longer periods of time. That's what
Right.
drives them. But then you have on the opposite end, we have what we call a guardian. These are your bigger people. Like I'm thinking think of like a Samoan. You got the round face, they're big people. They're like a lot of them are like your gentle giants, right? These are people you'll see, they want to take care of everybody. they're driven by prolactin, which is the nurturing hormone. So their drive for a goal is typically, I need to take care of my family. That's my purpose. Very different from that dopamine.
By the way, for the men listening, prolactin is what is elevated after you have sex. Prolactin in men is what's sort of, it's like that relaxation sort of.
Oxytocin.
I think it's prolactin too. I think prolactin is elevated.
Yeah. And so is the oxy. And the oxytocin, that's the connector.
Right.
Is driven by oxytocin. So they're all about connection. You have a connector when they're super stressed. You go up and put your hand on their back, that touch, their stress level plummets. Connection for the family connection, deep connection with the guardian. That's what they're driven by. You have a diplomat or you have a sensor. They're your real lean people, kind of like your bean poles, very hard gainers, but they are so system and process driven. Everything has to make sense for them. They're very autonomous. You can put them in a room to work for hours. They're happy. You do that to a connector, they're not going to be as productive. And then you have me. I'm an activator. We're a little short, muscular people. Like you go to CrossFit gyms, it's all like connectors and activators. Super competitive because my predominant hormones are testosterone and adrenaline. Very direct, very reactive, competitive. So I understand that like competition drives me. No one likes to play games with me for some reason. Like I want to win. I don't play to have fun. I play because I want to win the damn game. And but that's how we're driven. Now it made me a great cop because I was able to make decisions pretty quickly, but put me in a relationship being reactive, it's not so good. So like I'm being able to see where that came from. But when we understand how we're all motivated, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And
okay,
the things around you that create that.
All right. So what were the ones you said? Crusader was the first one.
There's Crusader.
Yep.
There's Activator. I'll go around the circle from the bottom, from the bottom side. So you have Crusader, Activator, Connector, Guardian, and then there's Diplomat, and then there's the Sensor. So and if you look like the Activator is a true mesomorph.
I'm sorry, you said the last one was Sensor?
Sensor. Okay. Yep. That's a true ectomorph. Very, like their predominant derm layer is the central nervous system. And the Crusader is part sensor, part activator. Good athleticism in there, especially when they're over towards activator more on the scale. Towards sensor more, again, like a lot leaner, a lot more in the head.
So if you had to, because this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Oh yeah, because nobody knows about this over here. That's why I do my podcast.
If you had like one adjective to describe each of these people, what do you think? So like the Crusader, what's one word that describes?
Oh, driven.
Okay.
Oh God.
So what about the Activator?
Competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Connector?
Fun. All that fun.
Fun. Guardian?
Mama bear, Papa bear.
Okay, we'll say caretaker maybe?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. What about Diplomat?
The Diplomat, there's a couple I could use here. I'm gonna throw this out there because this is non-responders.
Non-responders?
They are the ones that are your biggest non-responders to a lot of generic programs, especially around exercise. They're biggest non-responders, and that
sounds backwards with it being Diplomat. It sounds kind of opposite, you know.
Yeah, you can't put the word with the thing. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
Okay.
If I was kind of playing around between that and I was going to say perfectionism. They're my biggest perfectionists.
Okay.
They'll beat themselves up like crazy. They also need purpose.
You. So
this
would be
very
like
information. Yeah.
These people would be like very analytical, very like, by the book type thing.
No, that's going to be more your sensor. They're more rigid with rules. Your Diplomat's going to be in there too because they're part sensor. But they want to collect all the data. Do not rush them to make a decision. You're going to put pressure
I
on
got
them.
you.
That's not going to be good. It's going to create stress. And their space around them, hugely, that's their number one priority, is their space. If there's any clutter, disarray, chaos, that creates a lot of stress. And they and the guardian are going to store under stress.
Okay.
You're storing people, and they're the night owls. They're going to be your night owls. Now, your crusader, your activators, some connectors, some sensors, and morning people, but crusaders for sure. So you're saying I'm not a morning person? Activators,
I'm not. I'm
crusaders.
definitely not.
I said that all my life. You're only 30. I didn't find this until I was 54. And I'm like, there's no, I mean, I worked graveyards just as a cop when I started. I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't get up in the morning. And when I did my PH 360, I'm a morning person. I used to do CrossFit endurance at 6:30 at night after a 10-hour shift at the cop shop, right? And I
Yep.
wondered why I was all like just never optimal. And I looked at this and you had the diplomats across from Activator on the circle because they're opposite.
Right. Yeah.
I lived like a diplomat for 54 years.
I was gonna say, man, it sounds like I might be a diplomat.
How tall are you?
6 feet, 6'1", maybe.
Holy
Somewhere around
cow. You may be Diplo. You might be
there.
Diplo.
Okay, so
They're like your Viking people. You picture like Viking people, although you could be a tall, you could be, it's
well,
hard to see because you're in black and you have a black background, but a lot of times I can look at, are your legs, is your femur a little bit shorter, or do you have long legs?
I don't know. I feel like they're proportional to my body. I
So
mean, maybe longer legs, but I mean, just real quick. So sensor, what's
yeah,
one word for sensor? Uh,
um,
Analytical, rigid.
I was thinking rigid, but like system and process, they're just,
So
that's
precise, maybe.
logical. That's it.
There we go.
Logical.
Logical.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't know. So this list, I think it sounds like I don't know. It sounds like the Crusader, the driven. I consider myself a driven person because I got a lot going on, and I just do a lot. But like I tell people all the time, and I know this doesn't fit for everybody, but like my business, a lot of the, I guess, satisfaction I felt from my business was in the building process and not when we got a client or when we made a sale or whatever. It's like in the, in the climb itself.
The
Uh,
pursuit.
yeah, the pursuit of it. Because,
Yeah.
and I'm glad
Yeah.
you said
That's
that,
the
because
dopamine.
Andrew Huberman, I don't know if you know who Andrew
I
Huberman
love
is.
Andrew Huberman. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was talking on his podcast and he was like, dopamine is really about the pleasure of pursuit and
It
not the
is.
pursuit of
Yep.
pleasure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And if you,
like it with these people like Elon Musk and all these people who do great things, women, men, whatever they are, there has to be, like, they are motivated in that because you're not going to get to that level of anything unless you are motivated in the process of doing it. It's like I tell people all the time, man, if you're motivated by the sale or making the money or getting the person's number that you find attractive, whatever it is, that there has to be something else there that's motivating you, because that's not going to be enough. Because I mean,
yeah.
the hitting on the person maybe is a
Yeah.
lesser example, but like these big things that take a lot of effort and time, like
Yeah.
there's going to be things that come along to test you, and you have to have
Yeah.
something that you can refer to, and like that, making that money, that's just simply not big. That's not a big enough motivator. Um,
Yeah. It
okay,
is for
is this
some, but
is
what is it about that money that's driving them, right? Is it going to be freedom? Is it going to be, I can take care of my people?
right?
Is it,
Yeah,
I can, for me, I can travel. It's freedom because we're like, it's funny. I was a cop and all about rules and everything, but we're like the biggest rule breakers. Like, freedom, get me the hell out of here. I need to be free to go do what I want to do.
yeah,
So it's kind of like an oxymoron there. Um, so if you look at this is cool because I can also do corporate coaching with this when you have a team and they understand where they're best suited. So you have the Crusader has that idea to build this business. See the future. This is where I want to go with this. Then you bring in diplomats. This is what I'm doing with my business. I have another coach, and she's actually a teacher getting ready to retire. I said I wanted to do a personalized group program. Who does that? Every time you go in a group program, it's all the same protocol that everybody follows, right? Well, I want to do one where everybody has their own profile. We're just doing it in a group setting. No one's doing that. So she said, well, that's what I do. I'm a teacher. I plan. And she's a diplomat. They're the planners. They can reverse engineer something. Here's what I see. work it back and make the plan. So you bring them in to do it. Then you have me as the activator. I'm all ideas. I just don't know how to put them together. But I have shit go through my head so quickly. Like I want to do this and this and this, but I don't know how to get there. So and then you have so if I go back to the crusader starting the business, right? Instead of using me as an example, they will have the activators. Once they have the plan, then they hire the activators to come in because we take action. This needs to be done. Okay, on it. That's a challenge. I'm going to go do it. Of course, you give me a clearly defined plan. I will kick this out. Like my boyfriend said, he's a crusader. And he's like, I can't keep up with all the things you do. And I go, for me, it's just another day. I have my list and I'm like, boom, 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 because it's what I'm made for, action. You don't put you would put like a connector into a sales role because they're going to make the relationships.
Right.
Right. But you don't want to put a diplomat there because they don't want to infringe on anybody. It's uncomfortable. They run on serotonin, comfort. Anything that is uncomfortable, they're going to veer away from. You put them in an outside sales role, they don't want to make a call. They're going to get rejected. They're going to be like, I'm sorry, I don't want to bother you, but like this doesn't feel good. So you're going to put the action people, the relationship builders into those areas. So it's really cool. But a lot of it, will stem from the vision of the Crusader.
Is this like something that you designed based on your work, or is this like did somebody else create this? Because I've never heard of this before. Like this,
Yeah,
this system.
it's based in Australia with Precision Health Alliance as the group. Decades of research went into it, and I've been using it. I found it. So 2020, like the ceiling dropped, right? I was doing everything in person. So everybody started looking to pair up with people to help with business, especially online. And I got presented to be a part of this group that was looking to put a program together for high-powered athletes. That never happened. But we all got together. We all had different disciplines. And they said, you'll do DNA. And we were all going to guinea pig off of each other's things. So I was the DNA. And they said there's an epigenetic platform. It's got an app. It's AI based. And I'm like, okay, that's stupid. Like, it's not DNA. Right. So when I met with my coach, who is the CEO, Dr. Cam McDonald, he's phenomenal. He's on my first 2 podcasts. I started with him. And he says to me, like, so mate, how you feeling? I'm like, oh, I haven't even been into my profile. He's like, well, I haven't even looked at it. I go, because I do DNA. He's like, just look at it. This is totally different than anything you've ever seen. So he said, how are you feeling? I said, well, I'm a little tired. My workouts, I'm a CrossFitter. My workouts aren't the best. And he said, well, what are you eating for breakfast? And I go, well, I don't. I intermittent fast. That's what you're supposed to do. And he said, no, not the activator. You are made for movement. You oxidize like crazy. You burn like crazy. And I'm like, well, then why am I keeping fat on? He's like, you're not eating enough. You should be eating like 3 meals, 2 snacks. And I'm going, I'm good with twice a day. And he said, yeah, you're not, mate. Like, he said, are you going to try this or not? I'm like, there's the activator with the doubting Thomas, right? I'm like, all right, I'll try this. This is stupid. Go into the profile and I look at the foods and I'm like, okay, I'm eating that. I shouldn't be eating that. I shouldn't be eating that. I should be eating that. I was paleo, keto for like 12 years. I wouldn't go near a legume. I was afraid of all that stuff. And it had all this on my profile as being nutritionally benefit for me and the reasons why. And I'm like, all right, I'll just try it. So we tweaked it a couple times. The timing I started working with, and I dropped 11 pounds in a month. My energy levels went up, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm a morning person. I was blown away. I would be the last person on the dance floor if live music was playing now. I'm like, band starts at 7, I'm good for 1 set, and I can go home and go to sleep. That was just never me. So it was a game changer for me. And I saw why my body was just never right, why autoimmune easily happened, why I was fatigued, why my stress levels were higher. And so I said, do you guys have coaches? And he said, yeah, we have like 1,000 of them. Most of them are Australia based, New Zealand. And he's like, we really don't have anybody. We have a handful of coaches certified in the States, but nobody's using it. I'm like, sign me up. And there happened to be a class that February. And And I had active clients, and they're like, I'm in, I'll try it. And I'm now the fastest growing coach in their history. I was coach of the year out of over 1,000 coaches in 2023.
Wow.
It is the missing piece of the optimization puzzle when you understand who you are, why you are who you are, and own that. So I've always wanted to podcast or do a talk show, but I was too afraid to put myself out there and talk like this and let my opinions be shown because people are haters. And I'm like, you know what? I'm too old to worry about haters at this point. And so last February, I said, like, business slowed down. And I said, this has slowed down for me to do this because I need to come out from hiding behind my laptop and let
Right.
people know that personalized health is available. You don't have to struggle. Um, and so I started my own podcast. I just had my 1 year anniversary on the 1st.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And I love it. I was like, I recorded 7 in the first week. I was like, I could do this all day long. This is so
Yep.
fun. And you just meet great people, but it's getting the word out there about this. And I interviewed a woman 3 times, and she's a therapist, licensed therapist. She and I vibe really well. And she only lives an hour from me. So we met after the third one. She had 2 of my highest rated podcasts last year. And she deals a lot with epigenetics and trauma, and it's fascinating. So she's going to be coming on starting June 1st as my co-host.
Oh,
And
nice.
I think
Nice.
it's going to be fun. We're going to jam. We're going to get more information out there. And then I have the group program. Actually, on the 14th is the webinar, and that program is going to launch for the first time, the
Okay.
introduction of personalized health in a group setting. So, like, just
Yeah.
really cool stuff coming up to let people know that, hey, you're not seen as a number. And
Hmm.
when you have the things that, when you know what you need to do specific to your body, your mind, um, you'll see a whole difference in health. And I mean, I'll start seeing changes in clients in the first 2 weeks. It's
Yeah.
that, it's that impactful.
Well,
So, yeah.
congratulations. And I think it's probably, you mentioned that you had this sort of anxiety about doing the podcast, but I think it's probably easier for you because you're in alignment with who you are. I think,
Yep.
before you realized that the activator situation, you were kind of
Yep.
going against yourself, but now that you're in
Oh, yeah.
alignment, I just feel like it's easier to operate from that place of,
Yeah.
of authenticity with yourself. But, um,
Yeah.
I got to close in a couple minutes, but this has been a great conversation. I didn't realize we were going to get into this. I think this right here is the awareness of this is critical. So I want to say this, and I want to get your opinion on this. So
Eh,
looking at this from a business professional company setting, and of course this is in a hypothetical situation because no company ever discriminates, and everybody should only be hired based on merit. All right, so
agree.
a crusader, I feel like that would be the person who leads the company. A
Yep.
crusader would be like your
There's your
CEO.
CEOs. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Your I feel like your connectors would be either your sales or your mid-level managers would be connectors. The people who directly with sales and directly with operations would be your connectors. I feel like um honestly, man, I feel like the diplomat would be well in like a CFO position, like over the finance.
Yeah. The planning
Yep.
part of everything. Yep. Making sure everything's
Yep.
lined up. Absolutely. And the,
The
the sensors can as well.
I think the
Everything has to
guard
be logical. The whole, like,
okay.
if you have someone to work up that needs to work up the terms and conditions, or what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out here. Processes, like,
Yep.
within the company,
Right.
rules,
Yep.
regulations,
Yep.
that's them.
For sure.
Right?
Um, I think the Guardian would work well in marketing and public relations, interacting with people in the
Anything
public space.
support,
Yep.
support.
And
Yep.
I think the sensor would work well in like your clerical,
Yep.
like your, the front of the like the taking the calls and the plan, the scheduling.
No, that's too much. No, that's too social. You'd want to connect with doing that.
Okay.
Because again, that's the people. They're not your people. Your sensors are I'm going to look at the books. There's your accountants.
Okay.
I'm going to look at the books. Everything has to make sense. Again, coming up with systems and processes throughout attorneys. Like, again, it's that brain. Think of that brain,
Okay.
always thinking logic, system, process. That's your sensor. The
Okay.
connector, you want your receptionist. Anybody taking those, hi, how you doing? Like you're perky. Your
Right.
sensors to be like, why are you bothering me? I'm trying to get work done. I
Hey,
will
maybe
talk to
that's
you.
not a bad thing, you know.
The guardian, that's another one that's great. Again, like your front person. Let me
Right.
take care of you. How can I help you? Or if you have an in-house therapist, if you look at therapists and nurses, a lot of them are bigger people.
Yep.
They're like, let's take care of everybody, right? And your diplomats that are up towards guardian are just like that. I have a bunch of them. Yeah, and then when you want things that need to be put into action, get out there and get it done. There's your activator.
Well, this
Yep.
is interesting. I haven't heard of this before, but I'm gonna do some research on this, and because I don't know, I love the like I've always referred to the disc personalities.
Yeah,
I think there's some people say the type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it is type A, B, whatever it is. I mean, there's all kinds of different personality assessments out there, and I love looking into those because I think you need to be aware of being self-aware of with yourself is critical, but you need to know how you interact with other people. Like me,
absolutely.
on the disc personality, I would be like very high in the D, which was like your dominant. Some people might
Dominance,
say that
yeah,
stands for something
ditto.
else.
Yeah.
Some people might say it stands for something else, but it stands for the dominant, assertive. That would be
Yeah.
me. I would, yeah. So, but yeah, so, but like when I'm trying to be, focused or directed on something, some other people who score in a different area might see that as like, too bold or too brash or too assertive, or whatever. So you had to be aware of that. Um,
Hmm. Yep.
but yeah, so this is
Yep.
this is this is good information.
Yeah. That was the
Where
story of my life. Like I had to
what's that?
dial it back. But the beauty of the PhD 60, it's those personality tests on steroids because it's showing you why it's biologically driven, how it's
Mm,
biologically driven, and how, um, like for me to dial myself back, I was always too much for people. Susan, your delivery sucks. Okay, well now I understand I'm driven by testosterone and adrenaline. I have things to do. So
right.
I will respond to someone with two answers on a text. And like they used to say, what's wrong? You having a bad day? I'm like, I'm just busy, right?
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
lucky I respond. I'm thinking I'm doing the right thing by responding. So
yeah.
you like now I don't dial back. I say, like Kate's coming in, she's an activator, but she's a different activator. Kate's very gentle. And I go, I'm the bull in the china shop activator that's going to be like, I'm the high energy on the podcast, and she's going to be like, she'll say things eloquently that I throw out, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
but we understand, but we're both action oriented.
Yeah. Well, I think just the awareness of that, I think that's what makes us good,
Yeah, it's
us
all
people,
awareness.
good leaders, good people, good friends, because we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so,
Yeah,
so where can
tough
you be found?
conversation.
I'm not going to keep you. I'm not going to keep you all day. Do you have social media or anything,
Yeah,
or website or anything?
yeah. My website is healthyawakening.co. That's my business, is Healthy Awakening Epigenetic Coaching. And my podcast is Everyday Epigenetics, Raw, Real, Relatable. And you can just go to everydayepigenetics.co also. You can also get to it off of my website. But it's if you just go to everydayepigenetics.co, all the episodes are right there. It's super easy. I'm on Instagram, Susan Robbins, Robbins with two B's, like Tony, underscore epigenetic coach. I'm on Facebook as Susan Robbins, and there's also my business page there, Healthy Awakening Epigenetic Coaching. And
Okay.
I'm super accessible. You can email me, text me, reach out to me on social media. I'm very responsive. I'm a secondary connector. I love to connect. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
feel free to reach out anytime. And my consults are all free. I don't
Okay.
charge to find out if we're a match to work together. And like I said, I have a group program coming out, and I do individual coaching as well. And I can do DNA panels, just one and done. Give you your info,
Okay.
meet with you, go over it, send you on your way.
Nice. Um, So to keep up with the theme of wisdom, I usually ask people for a piece of wisdom before we close. So, what do you think is one of the most valuable lessons you've ever learned? It can be from your personal life if you're comfortable sharing it, or your career. What do
Yeah,
you
I
think?
mean, this one's easy because I knew you were going to ask this. Be your most authentic self. And that's how
Mm,
I end my podcast every time too. You you have to be you. It's not who your parents wanted you to be, who the church says you should be, who your teachers think you should be. when you are living authentically according to who you are, you can't go wrong. You're going to follow your passion. You're going to be in flow. You're going to feel great.
Yep.
Just be you and own it. Whether you're brash or you're quiet or you're more aloof, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Just be your
Yeah,
most authentic self and
man.
love that person.
I love that. I love that because it's so like it's simple, but it's so impactful. Like it's a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Every time I hear this, I'm reminded of there's a Bible verse that says, "Do not cast pearls before swine," and essentially what that verse means is don't offer something to a place or to a person that's not going to really value it. And I think sometimes we get mixed up, especially like you and I, like we're very driven people. It's easy for us to get to say, well, this is my personality, this is what I have to offer, and try to offer it to everybody, and everybody's simply not going to accept it or
Yeah.
understand it or even value it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah.
part, just to kind of go off on that, on your message, I think part of that is understanding that like we don't belong everywhere, like nobody belongs everywhere.
Nope.
And so
Nope.
just like find where your thing is, be authentic in that thing, and then you're
And
aligned. Yeah.
absolutely. That's why, again, like my podcast, raw, because you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm reactive,
Right.
right? You never know. And
Yeah.
and then real, like just be real. And I tell my guests that come on, one of my rules is be yourself. Just be you. People aren't gonna don't relate to people that are just trying to sell stuff out there, or that are, you look at them and you just look and go, I know they're fake. Like
Yep.
it's just people don't relate to that. They relate to people that are imperfect and own those imperfections. Like, I'm like, I don't do my podcast editor. She doesn't even edit much because I'm just like, let it fly.
That's it, man. That's it. Like I can't tell you how many podcasts I've done. You're probably number 105, I think, somewhere around there is how many podcasts I've done. And sometimes I listen back to these things and I'm like, dude, I sound like an idiot. Like like why did I say that? But that's just what it like that's a conversation.
We
You know what I mean?
are.
Yeah.
It makes for good entertainment, right? If we
Yeah.
were all cookie cutters and everything was perfect, I'm just like you and mine. I don't rehearse anything. And I'll have go on other people's. I was on one yesterday, a friend of mine. Actually, she's coming on mine in a half hour. And she sends me an outline. She's a diplomat. It's
Yeah.
an outline, right? And I'm like, you come on the Activator podcast, you're not going to know. We're not going to know because I don't plan.
Right.
I'm
Yep.
spontaneous. That's how we're created. Spontaneity. If you ask me to plan more than like a couple weeks ahead, you get the deer in the headlights. Susan, what's your 5-year business plan? I don't know. I want to be traveling and coaching. No,
Yep.
that's, it's so we're all so different. But a crusader is going to be like, here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to be. And I'm going to be retired by 40. Right? It's funny. It's funny. So yeah. Anyhow,
Look, man, I could keep going, but I'm gonna let you get out of here. If
thank
you can
you.
hang out for just a second, I'm gonna explain the upload situation to you, but I do
Okay.
appreciate it. Appreciate the good conversation here today.
Yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
great.
Me too.
Hey everybody, listen, I really appreciate you guys tuning in today, man. If you like the content, if you found this episode useful, you can visit us on social media. That's YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, Amazon Music, Rumble, Instagram, Facebook, and Google and Apple Podcasts. There you can like our videos, follow, subscribe, and share. And again, we appreciate it. We'll see you next time.